Would y'all please say hello to Mr. Chris Kirkpatrick? I think that's Luca.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All right.
What's
Thanks
up, dude?
for having me on your inaugural show. I feel
This is the maiden
awesome.
voyage right here.
And thanks for the appetizers.
Yeah, we got some. We're eating alcohol for this interview.
Ice.
So, we're going to get into some stuff that, you've probably answered a million times. But the question that I have found everybody wants to know the most of, the number one question. Are we good, JJ? The number one question is, what's going on with your Pittsburgh Steelers? Are we at the end of the Big Ben era? Or
we just beat Denver.
I know
this
you had a
weekend,
big win.
So.
Are we?
And by the way, I've written off this season. I'm all about my fantasy league at this point because I'm doing really well in that. So I'm all about fantasy. Plus, I've got Julio Jones and
with
Henry
the Titans,
and got some great Titans on my team. They pooped the bed the first week, but have been killing it for me since.
So, I grew up in Ohio, so there's a
Sorry
rivalry.
about that.
I hear you. Well, you spent some time there. We got the Cleveland Browns and the Steelers, so there's always been this rivalry. I didn't know if we're hitting the end of the Big Ben era or not,
So you're a Browns fan? Is what
I am
you're
a
saying?
Browns fan.
So this is your year.
Look at the color of my logo.
This is your year now to go, hey, what's going on with your Steelers? Because for the last 30 years, we've been asking what's been going on with the Browns. And now you're like, oh, wait till I get in with this one.
That's right. I set up. Now, I do have to ask you this question. As a sports fan, throughout the years, what would you say was the bigger catch? Lynn Swann, I think in Super Bowl 13 or 17, something like that. Terry Bradshaw, the acrobatic
the Rams
ballerina.
Against the Rams.
Or Santonio Holmes.
Santonio Holmes.
43
and
Super Bowl.
Lynn Swann, of all the players in the NFL, Lynn Swann is my idol of all idols. I've been really lucky enough to meet him and almost cried. And actually, when a friend of mine introduced me to him, she had gotten a Lynn Swann signed ball to me, but it was a surprise for my birthday, and I met him like a couple days before my birthday, and he looked at me and he said, oh my God, I think I just signed a ball for you. And I was like, wait, what? And she was behind me going like this. I didn't see her. And then he goes, oh no, I think that might have been the Backstreet Boys. And I was like, go Ravens, bro. Crushed me.
See what I'm saying? My intro, I could have gone on and on about the intro, but every time I go somewhere, they're like, oh, Chris was just here. He was like a story, and we're going to do a little segment here in a minute called Who Haven't You Met, by the way. Because you met Lynn Swann. Who meets Lynn Swann? Who knows Lynn Swann in here? Raise your hand. Have you met Lynn Swann? Your
Ross,
boys.
have you met Lynn Swann?
We got the Hollywood high tones in the house, y'all, all the way from Orlando.
Which, by the way, if I could go off on these guys for a second.
Please do. Let's do this.
This is these three guys right here, and there's another guy. But these guys right here are the reason that I started a cappella music and doing these things. Because we used to all sing doo-wop out in front of Mel's Diner at Universal, and these guys are already all 50, so they drove up here in an RV to surprise me for my birthday. Oh, I didn't wear the pink cowboy hat. Dang it, I got it in the car.
You have a pink cowboy hat?
Yep, it says happy birthday girl on it. It's better than the tutu I wore downtown.
So what was
2
this,
years
a
ago.
doo-wop group? You guys did like 3-part, 4-part, 5-part?
4-part. It was
4-part?
4-part. We had a bass, a baritone, a tenor, and a girl who could have been an alto or soprano. And it was just, the girl wore the poodle skirt. We wore the T-shirts with the rolled up sleeves and the rolled up jeans or whatever. And Alan, your name was Big Al?
Tony Testosterone.
No, what was your name? Tony? Your name was Tony Well, why was I calling you something else on stage all the time then?
You should call me Rico every time.
Testosterone, that's a good-looking noodle, I'll bet you got there.
And Braz was Tank. You were Tank. And Jeremy, you were... Vic. And I was Spike.
That was your name in the show?
Yeah, because it was before the braids. I actually had spiky hair. And I had hair.
How far removed from where that sort of, was that around the time when Lou Pearlman and all this kind of came into your life, was with these guys?
Yeah.
And this is where it kind of sort of began from?
In fact, when the band started, I remember Joey wasn't in the band yet, but we ran into him at a club the night before, and we needed somebody else in the band, so I was doing the high tones that day, and I ran over to the karaoke place to have Joey sing something so I could show it to our vocal coach and Lou and all the upper echelon people that really had anything to do with the band too. And we recorded a quick track of Joey singing, and that's how Joey got in the band. Because Joey actually worked at Universal too. Joey was at the Monster Show, the Beetlejuice Graveyard Review, and there was a lot of the high tones that would graduate up and go into the Graveyard Review, but Joey was in the Graveyard Review, so we knew each other, and he had this group called the Big Guys with Luis Fonsi,
yes,
from Despacito fame. He was in this, but it was like a high school quartet. You remember? It was like a high school quartet, and Joey come in, yeah, you got to listen to the Big Guys, and we're like, why are you guys calling yourselves the Big Guys? You're all skinny and tiny, like it makes absolutely no sense, but I guess the girls in high school liked it, allegedly.
So how did that moment where you guys were doing this music and the band started becoming together, why was the first move to Germany or to Europe? How did that happen?
That was the first label that signed us.
Okay.
So we did a showcase in Orlando, and we had a representative from, I think it was RCA, I'm not positive, from RCA in the States, and 2 representatives from BMG Areola, which I wanted to join immediately just for the name.
Just name alone.
And they came over, and basically we did our thing, and the German guys were like, yeah, we will sign you today, tomorrow, whatever. And the American guy waited until it was like just me and Justin and his mom, and he's like, well, if you get rid of so-and-so, we'll sign you. And Justin and I looked at each other and we're like, nope, this is our band, this is what you get, I guess we're going to Europe. So we signed and went over to Europe as a 5-part group and never looked back.
That's awesome.
Although sometimes when you get pissed at your bandmates, you're like, oh, if we only would have said, all right, let's do it, forget this guy, you're on my nerves now.
So when you come back to the States from Europe and things are starting to happen here, and if you guys, you know, I've since setting up this interview with you, and I've hung out with you a few times, but I've really watched a lot of the interviews and things that you talked about. When you got back here to the States and you started to see it happen here, what was that moment like? And I'm sure you've answered this question a million times, but did you recognize when it started happening here back in the States, you did what you did in Europe, Germany, you come back and the U.S. starts opening up, did you know it was historical early on? Could you sense what was becoming, or was it just hang on for dear life and just go after it?
I think the crazy part about it is when you're chasing a dream like that, there is no moment in your life that you're going, well, this isn't going to happen. But if it did, wouldn't it be cool? You know, you're like, this is going to happen. Like, we're gonna will this to happen. We're going to work harder than anybody on the planet to make it happen. And if it doesn't happen, didn't even think about that.
Right.
The weird thing was being in Germany and touring, you know, our first tour, we're in front of a couple hundred kids in, you know, I can name like random cities in Germany, and if you've never been there, you're like, what? But, you know, Baden-Baden, Berlin, Hamburg, Munich, Stuttgart, all these places. And it was like this gradual momentum, and when you're involved in it, you don't like really see what's going on. You see the work and you work. And it was such a gradual build. And the weird part was being over there, and European fans are insane. And we'd be over there and they'd be like jumping on luggage racks just to get in, you know, hiding in our hotel rooms, all this crazy thing. Sleeping outside the hotel rooms, like 50, 60 people sleeping outside the hotel rooms. You come out and they just lose their minds. And then we'd come home and it was like, we didn't even have Uber. So we were like, God, I hope my mom picks me up. Because if not, I'm going to be stuck outside this airport with no ride. I've got 2,000 German girls that would gladly give me a ride home, but they're in Germany. And the TV shows and the things we were doing over there, they're like, yeah, you don't understand how big, Wetten das, or these shows we were doing. And we're like, yeah, we really don't. Because first of all, we don't even know what you're saying. We have translators in our ears, and it's that awkward. They tell a joke, and then there's like a 5-second pause. Which, by the way, one of the worst moments of my life was telling a knock-knock joke on our first live television performance in Germany about the Gestapo. Oh, sure, now you guys say, oh. Tell that to a 23-year-old kid who just heard the freaking joke and is like, this is a freaking hilarious joke. Until you realize the language barrier, and it took me 10 minutes to set up a knock-knock joke. So I'm going to say knock-knock, you say who's there, and then what? I'm like, okay, so how this works is, finally we get it set up, and I'm like, knock-knock, he's like, who's there? I'm like, the Gestapo. And cameramen were going, one, woo! So that didn't go very good for me. Luckily, I was not kicked out of my own band, but it was very close. And but yeah, it was insane, the language barrier and being over there and kind of understanding the impact we were having on so many kids, but yet coming back here and hanging out with these guys who I sung with and people I've sung with going, dude, we are big in Germany.
Huge.
They're like, all right, thanks a lot, Hasselhoff.
You and Janet Jackson.
No, us and David Hasselhoff, or the Hoff, as they refer to him.
The Hoff kit. So how long once you got back to the States? What was that time between coming back from that kind of high and sensing that before it really broke wide open here in the U.S.?
Well, so it was, we were doing a show in Poland. And we had a RCA rep, Vince DiGiorgio, show up at this show in Poland. And, every show, our goal was to have the best show. Because to me, as a performer, as you guys know, and what you guys do, your goal is to make people happy and for them to walk away going, this was the best night of my life. Which is funny that you think that we get to do something like that. We get to be alongside people as they're having a great time. And, our goal was to always just kill it. I mean, we left everything out there. Every show we did one show in Germany where we'd gotten so big in Germany that we walked out and it was like a radio show, some random place. And we walked out on stage and basically did like we went back in the dressing room, like with our tails between our legs, and, I'm the oldest, and I, kind of started screaming and yelling. I was like, this is not what we do. This isn't who we are. If we ever do that again, I will kick the expletive out of all of you guys because, our whole goal was to have the best show, and people go, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And not because of us, because of the collective of everybody there. And we did this show, and Vince DiGiorgio was there, and he said, we want to sign you guys in the States. And we're like, all right, who do we have to get rid of? We've already been over this. We know how this works. And he's like, no, I want to sign the 5 of you. And so we signed the deal, and the first thing that comes down the pipes is Disney was doing this Disney special. They started this Disney special thing. And it's kind of like saying Michael Jackson's name before he was in the Jackson 5, and you're like, who? But then after you're like, oh, duh, Michael Jackson. Like it's one of those things that, so the Disney special was nothing. It was just this idea that they had. And the Backstreet Boys were like, they were blowing up, and they started blowing up in the States because they had quit playing games with my heart. And they're like, no, we're not gonna do it. So they're like, do you guys want to do it? We're like, duh. You mean somebody in the States will know who we are? And we did the Disney special, and it was the weirdest moment because once we did that special, it had just released, and we were flying from LA back to Germany where people knew who we were, and getting on the plane, and some girl, which I wish she knew that how popular she is with my band, but some girl goes, Mom, that's them. That's the boys. That's the NSYNC boys. And we were all getting on the jetway, and we were like, you know us? You're American? You speak English? And freaking went nuts. And then it was almost like a joke, because then it was just everywhere. It was like the Disney special had blown up so big that it was everywhere. And then it was just kind of like, we got to release another song quick because it's so big now, and it's so much. Because it was this thing where not only did we do the performance, but we also had our families, and they did all these vignettes of us at Disney, and it's like, hey, meet the boys, or me, the old guy. And, you're doing this stuff, and so they got to know us, and they got to know the band, and it was insane. Like, it just was like, after that, it just snowballed.
It's amazing. One thing I take away from that is how much the music mattered to you. You guys were an entertainment group, and, the good-looking guys and the whole energy thing, but...
Well, that mattered a lot, too.
I mean...
It didn't suck that we were so handsome.
No, I hear you. That was...
What a burden on our lives.
But
Butters, you have no idea what this burden is.
No, I have no idea what that is.
This burden of being so good-looking is just, it follows me everywhere. Sometimes I'm not a piece of meat.
You aren't a piece of meat.
But
I think it's amazing.
Don't love me for how I'm made. No,
when you have a group like that, how much the music really was the root of it it's pretty awesome.
That's our bread and butter. See what I did there? That was that was what we enjoyed. That's what kids, back when kids actually bought records, that's what they were buying, was our records. And joking about the looks and everything, I was like, nobody's gonna want to put us on their walls. Like, maybe Justin, but Justin was so young too. I was like, he's a baby. Like, nobody's gonna want to put this baby on the wall, or me and Joey scary guys. Like, it's like, oh my God, what are you looking at? What is this? Is this a band, or is this, a Halloween advertisement?
I just think it's awesome to see where you were and to hear that, as I mentioned early on, there's no question that I could ask you that you haven't answered 100 times, but it's amazing to me to see what emotions you sort of have in those times and what people and artists go through, and to kind of know how the story's been told. And I'm not saying you're done writing it, but to go on to that kind of historical success, it's just awesome to hear.
Well, if I could say something to that, honestly, it's crazy, because you say there's no question I haven't answered, but you have to remember, especially when we first started, it was a product, and we had people over our shoulders with everything we said. And this was before social media. This was before,
I can imagine that.
Whatever. But there are people going, when you told a Gestapo joke in Germany, like, that's 5 marks off of what you're doing. And it was just like, there was always this big brother mentality of, you have to watch what you say. So there are questions that I've answered many times, but it's taken years to get the honesty out of those questions. Whereas before it was like, yeah, we're not allowed to have tattoos, we're not allowed to ride motorcycles, we're not allowed to date people. I'm pretty sure all of those I cancel cultured out. I was like, nope, girlfriend, tattoos, bringing my motorcycle on tour, everything. And just because it didn't feel real to me if we weren't being real and enjoying what we were doing, being this product, and we fought the puppeteers, hence No Strings Attached and all this. We fought the puppeteers and said, you know what? We're our own beings. We're going to do what we want to do. We're not going to fall into this boy band, this bubblegum pop. I coined the phrase. I was like, we're not bubblegum pop. It's like dirtier than that. It's like dirty pop. You know, it's like mean. It's like we're not going to sit there and go, hey, look at us. We're all clean cut, clean shaven. You know, no, we're going to have goatees. We're going to have beards. We're going to have old people. I'm going to put braids, for God's sakes. Braids or dreads in my hair. I'm going to have tattoos. I'm going to do what I want to do. And if they like it, they like it, because it's about the music and it's about the product we're putting out. We're not trying to sell, you know, bed sheets. We're trying to sell songs. We're trying to sell a show. We're trying to sell a way of life that people enjoy.
That's awesome, man. That's you know, when I was setting up for this, I didn't know where we'd go. And I appreciate that depth of answer, man. That's like legit back in the day, like really laying it out. So, hell
It's
yeah.
honest now. It's a lot easier to be honest now.
I hear you.
I don't have Big Brother over my shoulder.
I sometimes
Just
wonder,
my wife. You said what?
She said, "But you got Nash. You got married. You got Nash. You got family. You got so much going on, man." I early on in this interview, I have always. And I told my wife, I said, I have not met anybody that Chris hasn't met yet. So I was with a former Tennessee Titan Pro Bowl linebacker, Keith Bullock, the other day.
Oh, I love Keith.
Yeah, but
Allegedly. I don't know if I know him.
Yeah, but I was talking to Keith, and I said, yeah, you know, I got this interview. I'm doing the show with Chris Kirkpatrick. Oh yeah, tell Chris. I said, I have not met anybody yet that you haven't met. So I told my wife, I got to do a game. I said, if I get to interview Chris, I want to do a couple little fun things. So we're gonna take a little serious way on the way out, but I have to do this real fast with you. Can you play a little game with me?
Yep.
Are you up for it?
Yep.
All right. This is called Have You Ever Met?
All right, that's better than Have You Ever. I would get in a lot of trouble with Have You Ever.
Fondled?
I would be like, yep.
Reached around?
Yep.
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 I have a feeling these are just as many yeps.
Tattooed a goat? Yep.
Yep. You tattooed a goat? That's not on the questionnaire.
What's the questionnaire again?
We're doing the questionnaire. I got a pamphlet right here. All right, this is Butter and Chris Kirkpatrick. Have you ever met? And you can elaborate, or you can say never met. You could give me some details, okay? I chose as many random sort of famousness that I could. You doing good, Emmy? My wife, Emmy, down there.
This is
Look at
cool.
her. She's taking
Gorgeous.
pictures,
Your wife is gorgeous.
Yeah, she's taking pictures
Your
of her.
children are gorgeous.
She's just taking pictures
You
of
don't
you,
deserve
though.
all of them.
She's not even focused
Let's be
on
honest.
me.
She's telling us to get closer together during
Yeah,
the interview. Could
yeah.
you guys just like get close?
Just a little closer.
Just like, Butter, stop looking stupid. Make a smile
JJ Joey,
face.
you ready? We got Steven Schutz over there. We got Jess Kelly Adams at the bar. I mean, we got Peanut. We got the whole thing. All right, here we go. Have you ever met, and you can go as far or little as you want, Bret Michaels?
Yes. I actually was he came to one of our shows. I was
Pittsburgh
a big
guy,
Poison fan. He's a big Pittsburgh guy. And Joey and I did a boat show 2 years ago in Miami, and he was the Grand Marshal of the boat parade, and that night he was doing a show, and Joey and I got to go up on stage and sing Nothing But a Good Time, and I just walked off and we're like, go Steelers. Yeah, so yes.
Bret Michaels. What? I mean, they're... Yeah. All right, anybody from Def Leppard?
Yeah, and it's random that it was Phil Collin, because I
Not Phil Collins?
Phil Collin.
Of Def Leppard.
Of Def Leppard. It was Phil Collin, and it was in Tampa at their show, and I was a diehard Def Leppard fan. I mean, Def Leppard, I can go from On Through the Night, High and Dry, Pyromania, like it was my band. And the funniest part is, I fangirled out over, oh my God, I'm freaking drawing a blank
Photograph?
right now. No. Anyways, I'm at the show, and it's beforehand. They're like, "Do you want to meet any of the guys?" And I freaked out, because there's some people that a lot of times I get nervous around only because of what they meant to me. So it actually helps out if somebody comes up to me and they're freaking out and they're like, you don't understand, and I'm like, no, trust me, I do. I get it. I'm not trying to be egotistical. I'm just trying to tell you, the fangirling you're doing to me, I've done to somebody too, so I get it. But yeah, it was Phil Collin, and we were talking for the longest time, and I was just so nervous I didn't even know what to say, and I was like, I'm sure you got to get back into the room, so I'm just going to leave if you want me to. He goes, no, I'm fine. And I'm like, shh. So, Tampa's cool, right? You know, it was so awkward.
Roger Clemens.
Yes.
Come on, dude.
A couple times.
You've met Roger.
A couple times.
Did you drink beers with him, Pitch?
I did not drink beers with him, but
Okay.
I've heard some crazy beer drinking stories about him on a flight. And
All right. So far you're like everybody. Tiger Woods.
yes, at the ESPYs, Justin and I were at the ESPYs, and it was like maybe 98, and he was still young and nice enough to talk to us and shake our hands, but not
What do you say to Tiger Woods when you meet him? What does a guy say in your position?
Hey, Tiger!
Hey!
Hey, Tiger!
Hey!
Yeah, Tiger!
All
He's
right.
like, what are you guys saying?
We're keeping up. Tom Brady.
I did.
Oh,
I did.
I thought I would get you on this one.
No, and we were at the Derby, and it was after his first Super Bowl.
Kentucky?
And yeah, and he came up to me, and me and my Uncle Jay were there, and we're like, Tom, screw you, we like the Steelers. And he was like, F the Steelers! But awesome, like really awesome, and, you know, a few times. And now him and Justin are like boys, so.
Jay-Z.
Yep.
You met Jay-Z.
Yep.
Justin
Few times.
Bieber.
Yep. And when I met Justin, he was really young. And the weird part about Justin Bieber is I had this friend of mine who used to run these clubs in Miami. And I just remember he was the man in Miami. Anything you needed in Miami, anytime I go for New Year's, I'm there with Shaq, like celebrities, because he'd hook it up. And I'm like, dude, you run Miami. He's like, it's crazy, right? And then one year I was down there with him, and he goes, dude, I'm getting out of the business. And I'm like, are you stupid? You run Miami. He goes, yeah, I'm going to go manage this kid, Justin Bieber. And I'm like, well, there went your career.
Is this Scooter?
Scooter Braun. Yeah, Scooter
man.
was like, nope, I'm going to go manage him. I'm like, you know what? That's the worst mistake you could ever make. So don't come to me for music advice. Is basic what that is. And then fast forward to, he was playing in Orlando, and he's like, Justin's really upset about this show. And he was still so young. He goes, can you go talk to him? And I'm like, all right. What, you don't want me to talk to him. Like, he's going to walk out.
What advice do you give Justin Bieber?
Shut the hell up. Stop being... No. I said, he was so upset, and I said it was a lot easier for us because we had 5 guys in the band. And I would get mad because, like I said, we tried to kill it every night. And some nights you could see guys that were just kind of walking through the motions, and I'd be like, dude, this isn't what we're doing this for. Like, those kids have been waiting months for us to be here, and you're walking through everything and not singing your heart out and doing all this. And I told Justin, I'm like, it's hard for you because you're the man. When the show goes wrong, nobody's going to blame your third backup dancer or your bass guitar player. And nothing against studio musicians, but it's Justin Bieber's show. So if it goes bad, it's on him. And I said, but you can't take all that burden. You have to remember those kids are just happy to see you. If it's 90% or above and you put in 100%, it was a great show because those kids don't know. So I was like, just go with that and just remember, don't use that to your advantage and not give them 100% because you think they only expect 90%. But if you mess up on one little thing, they're not going to go home, man, Justin Bieber killed it tonight, except for like he was off on 3 dance steps or, you know, he was flat on this line.
Well, I think he shares the same musicality that you guys. I mean, this guy's a real musician.
He's amazing.
He's really is.
Absolutely amazing.
He really is. And
there's a lot of those guilty pleasures that I have with, you know, Taylor, with him, with Ariana, with a lot of these kids, the Jonas Brothers, who before I was like, I couldn't name you. All these girls love the Jonas Brothers. I don't know a Jonas Brothers song. And now I'm like, okay, I have like 4 Jonas Brothers songs on my playlist. One Direction. All those kids in One Direction, you know, it's amazing.
Dude, I've gone down this list and I'm trying to see where I could find somebody.
I don't think.
All right, I'm gonna do 2 more,
All right.
and I won't keep you too long here tonight. We got your boys from the Hollywood High Tones in town celebrating with you. We don't want to keep you all night, so guys, thanks for letting me steal your boy here for a minute. All right, 2 more of these.
Why is this? Are you having problems reading? Or?
No, I see all these.
Are you trying to think of one you think you could stump?
Yeah,
me with?
I want to find somebody because I told my wife you have met everyone that nobody that I know doesn't know you, and so I'm trying to find this. All right, any president? Have you met a president?
Clinton.
All right.
Just Clinton. Although I would like to say the only president I want to meet is Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter.
Bill Clinton was cool, but Jimmy Carter, because
you better hurry
he
up.
He wasn't a great president, but probably the best human being we've ever had.
He's a good
as
guy.
President.
Madonna. Uh-oh.
Okay, so now what you have to remember is, like, any name you give out, we've done MTV awards, we've done all these awards where it's kind of like you walk through and it's like a high five, or it's like a I could probably say nothing that I remember, but I might have met her, but that you could get me on that one because I don't have a story or anything that.
I like to hang out with guys that would forget meeting Madonna. That makes me. I love that. I love that.
Hey,
man, you've been a good sport here. Let's wrap this up. Last one. This is the ultimate. Flo from Progressive. What was that commercial like?
Who's that?
Just fanboy. What was it like meeting Flo? Was that cool as shit?
Let me just tell you.
Was that live?
I wanted so bad for her just to be like, listen, would you guys not look me directly in the face?
She was so
Talk
cool.
to my assistant. She was like, I was like, I have a weird Flo crush now after that. Like, it was just like unbelievable. Okay, what you should have said was Jamie from Progressive.
Jamie.
Because he didn't do the commercial with me, and I was like, where's Jamie?
God.
Forget you, Flo. We know you're making billions of dollars doing these commercials. I want me some Jamie. And I didn't get Jamie, so I've never met Jamie from Progressive.
I watched your Flo commercial. I loved it, man. I knew you met
Yeah,
Flo.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
It saved my COVID days, that's for sure. No gigs, except for this gig. Well, back on it, babe. Back on it.
And now look at you. You're hanging out with Butter with Up the Tone at Cabana Taps, you know. Look.
You need to get Joey. You need to get Joey on this. Up the Tone with Fatone.
That's what I was. That's what I was thinking.
Just works better. He's way cooler than me.
You have so awesome for hanging out. We've done a few shows over the last few months that we've been on together. You've hosted, and I've watched you do your thing, and I love the way that music really matters to you. To be able to accomplish so much and to see how much that I just think you genuinely love people, you love entertainment. I really respect that, man. And I appreciate you taking a few minutes to hang out with me on my show. Y'all, please give a nice round of applause to Mr. Chris Kirkpatrick.
Thank you.